Hi, and welcome to this short video about some of the inspiration behind the Everyday Enchantment Tarot, which came out last year, 2018, although it had been in creation for a long time before that. I'm just going to share some stories about the ethos behind it. There's two strands to that. This video is going to be concentrating on the aspect of being present, being actually aware of the enchantment of the everyday. I first got the idea for that way back in about 2000 when I was very ill and I could barely walk at all, and one day I'd managed to get about 5 minutes down the road to the supermarket, which was behind where I lived, and I was really pleased with myself. And as I rounded a corner, I was completely on my own. As I rounded a corner, I was just faced with a very ordinary wooden fence panel, and the way the light caught it, or whether it was slightly damp, I don't know, but it just looked absolutely beautiful because I was so appreciative of being able to get out of the house and just to see this extraordinary ordinary thing in front of me. I was quite, it was a magical moment, really, and that really stayed with me, that gratitude for something so precious but so simple. The pattern of the grain of the wood was just extraordinary. I know I probably said that a few times now, but it really was. And then just following that back from the fact that the tree had given that wood, well, not of its free will, but it had it taken, but the train of thought, just following that back to the tree and giving appreciation to the tree where it came from, and then just gratitude for seeing that beauty in that swirling wood grain. It sounds very banal, but it was actually very moving, and that's sort of planted a seed within me that I would like to help people access that level of reality, almost, that to see our world as it really is, the magic that is inherent in it. So that's where it came from initially. It took me a long time to actually formulate how that could be expressed, and the next thing that really triggered that in me was making long train journeys from where I was living to see my parents at the time. I was quite aware that I was the only person that was ever sitting in a train carriage looking out of the window. Everybody else was completely absorbed in this, either with headphones on or looking at a screen of one kind or another. And at first that really upset me. In fact, it continued to disgruntle me somewhat every time I saw it, because it just seemed like such a waste. It was like trying to pass time, trying to kill time, rather than actually experience what was there in that present moment. It seems so disrespectful. And I'm sure that people make train journeys all the time get very bored of looking out the window. Maybe they want to distract themselves, but the more train journeys I took and have since taken, the more I noticed that I was just the only person that was actually looking around. And at one point when I was looking around, I actually saw the inspiration for the Sun card, which was just a very, it was around the Midlands area, and it was a very grim vista outside the window of factories, and a very industrial, very run-down looking place. And suddenly this woman appeared in this sort of glowing coloured sari, and she was like a little flame dancing in this dismal setting, and she just brought everything to life for me. And I was really sad that nobody else was looking. And she was obviously completely oblivious that she was this great inspiration to me, but she was so wonderful. And from that moment, I was even more keen to look out of the window and look around me at the other travellers, and to actually observe and to be appreciative of what was going on around me, and not just zone out. I mean, I'm aware that I was looking through another screen of the glass of the window at the world, but at least I was directly doing it, and not sort of one removed through a screen and almost sort of zoned out and shut down and not really present at all. And that's quite clear when the guard speaks to people, and sometimes the guards on trains are quite witty and quite silly, because obviously they get bored doing the same repeat announcements all the time, and sometimes they're quite funny and quite engaging. And again, I just notice that people don't take any notice of them. They don't take any notice of where they are or who's around them or who's speaking. In fact, they probably can't even hear them because they've got these things on their heads. And don't want to go into a rant about them. I don't have one of these things, by the way, so I'm not, saying do as I say and not as I do. I don't actually have one of these phones, and I'm in a very tiny minority, and I intend to stay that way. But it's not just about the phones, it's about all sorts of gadgets that appear on trains. And then I went on to noticing that pretty much everybody that's walking around the streets isn't actually present either. They're either talking to some invisible person because they've got headphones on and they're having a conversation with them, or they're looking down. And the amount of people you see trying to cross a road and they're actually looking at their phone, they can't even stop for a few seconds to cross a road, is quite extraordinarily. It's not in a good way. It's quite alarming. Anyway, I don't want to go into a great rant about that, but that was the inspiration for trying to highlight, just for, in a very small way, just doing my little bit, trying to highlight the absolute wonder and magnificence of what is around us, even if it seems very mundane. Sorry, excuse my awful sniffle there, I do apologise, I have got something going on. But I still wanted to make this video while I was inspired. I shall move on now. I just wanted to illustrate again, not only the chap in the Four of Cups who is completely absorbed in his own reverie or ennui or whatever it is, where he's just oblivious to his friend and everything else, and everything's become very boring and tedious, and he's just switched off. He's just basically switched off. And in a different way, these people are also completely absorbed in their own. So you've got the Two of Blades here in denial, and the Knight of Coins, who is completely and utterly absorbed in his task and not observing anything that's going on around him either. And it just seems that we can all get very absorbed in our own little worlds, our own little internet worlds, our own little smartphone worlds. I didn't like that title, I want to call it a stupid phone, but anyway, yeah, we get very absorbed in our little circle and we just don't see anything outside of it. And this tarot, sorry, I'm gone a bit squint there, haven't I? I'm not looking what I'm doing. This tarot was very much about widening the circle to include people that aren't of our immediate family, people that aren't, even acquaintances. The what we would call strangers. I wouldn't use that term because they're just, well, they're us in disguise, and our family is far, far wider than we believe it to be. It's just that we get smaller and smaller and narrower and narrower, and I don't think that these things are really helping in that. It's quite ironic, I think, that you can sit next to somebody on a train who is engaged in this behaviour and they wouldn't even notice you were there. You're nothing to them, and yet if you popped up on Facebook, they will be your friend. It's quite strange, isn't it? Anyway, I said I wouldn't go on about that. I'm just trying to share the inspiration. So, what did I want to do about this? Well, as I said, in my own little way, I wanted to bring this wonder of the Page of Blades back. He is engaged with the world. He is absolutely enthralled by it, and he knows the enchantment. He knows that innately, and he's determined not to lose that. He might be a bit like me, actually. He might go on a bit, and people think, oh, shut up, because he's so passionate and about his interests and how he sees things to be, and he really wants to share that, and it can get a bit overwhelming, which is why I'm going to be quiet in a minute. However, he has great qualities. He is engaged in a way that a lot of us aren't anymore, And I can't say that I'm totally immune from that, but I'm trying my best. And I'm, in doing this tarot, I am not desperately, but very, very keen to waken people up again to what's around them and to get them to connect with what's around them and feel something for it and to be grateful for it, and to make that quest every day to find the magic that is behind the veil of mundanity, the veil of ordinariness, and find the extraordinariness behind that veil of that sort of passive and not non-appreciative. I'm not doing very well with words today, do forgive me. I'll probably think of them all when I've stopped this video, but the fug of just taking things for granted, and to find this. And this card really is a good one, because it has so many representations of of nature and our creature kin. And I'm very aware of my horrible finger, so I'm going to stop pointing. Hopefully you can see those without me gesturing. And again, with the magician, he is absolutely focused in what he's doing. He's present, he's engaged, he's encouraging his son to be the same, and that's really the energy of this deck that I'd like to bring to people when they open the box. It's like, wow, I never thought to really notice that before. Or when I go out, I'm going to pay more attention to the other beings that share my reality, and I'm going to be thankful for them, and perhaps I'm going to actually connect with them and do something for them, rather than just being locked in my own little world, my own little alternative space of being, well, this, sorry, rather than me trying to find words I haven't got, I'll go back to this. Compare and contrast. I shall move him over here. That's, although obviously he has to be part of the tarot, because he's part of our experience. He's part of what we all go through from time to time, being jaded and being shut into our own obsessions and our own thoughts, and just totally blah, really. He has to be part of this deck, and he's a vital part of it. But in contrast, this is what I'm trying to bring, so that we can realize that we're in this state and move into this state. Okay, I'm going to stop now, and my next video will probably be about the ethos behind, or using the other being. Using, that's a bad word. Having the other beings in this deck. I don't intend to use anybody or anything, but to incorporate all our relations into this deck. So I send you my love for now. Take care, and take care of all other beings. Thank you. Bye.